Emilio Carrillo is our state conservationist, rangeland conservationist, but he's aware of all of the NRCS resources and equipment type of stuff that you can take advantage of. So, Emilio.
Thank you, Chris. Can you all hear me okay? And I hope I'm standing in the camera all right for our online viewers. I'll let Chris get that set up. One of my bosses presented this morning with the welcome introduction, and that was Ralph Ware. He's the assistant state conservationist for field operations in Arizona for the Natural Resources Conservation Service, which is an agency under the United States Department of Ag. We're a sister agency to the Forest Service, to the Agricultural Research Service, to Rural Development, APHIS, all of those good, great USDA. I got to quit looking at myself. It's hard. It's like when you go to the football game and they have that big jumbotron. I mean, you're watching it up there, not even watching the real game. Anyways, we have a bunch of offices around Arizona. I think we have 26 or 27 now. Most of our offices are in rural towns like Willcox, Holbrook, St. Michael's on the reservations, up all the way up into Fredonia on the Utah line, Stiles on the Tohoto Nation, and Douglas, Arizona, Yuma, and all those different type of agricultural rural communities. As Ralph Ware mentioned this morning, we were a product and a creation out of the Dust Bowl days. We started as the soil erosion service and progressed into the soil conservation service. And then around 1995, 1996, that farm bill, we had a name change to the Natural Resources Conservation Service. And that was because we weren't only looking at soil erosion and soil conservation anymore. We were looking at all natural resources and helping private landowners, tribal lands, and state trust lands with resource issues and resource concerns. Primarily back then, we were the technical agency, and we sold conservation and sustainable agricultural practices basically like a door-to-door salesman, doing demonstration projects as well as case studies and just word of mouth, kind of like Callie just talked with her project and how the domino effect and word of mouth just happened. That's how we operate it. And since then, in about 96, we started increasing our funding, our financial assistance to landowners substantially. And it started with $50,000 a year for a 5 or 10-year contract, not a grant. It was a contract. And then a couple farm bills later, with the promotion and the success of this program, it went from $50,000 for 5 to 10 years, 5 or 10 years, to $450,000 for a 1 to 10 year and anything in between contract with landowners. As I mentioned, we worked primarily with private landowners, state trust lands, and tribal lands. And as you can imagine, the Dust Bowl happened in the Midwest, and as you move east across the country, there's a lot of private land out there. And that's the reason for how we operate it. As you move to the west and west of the Rockies, we have a lot of intermingled land where we have tribal land, we have federal lands, we have military reservations, military facilities, all intermixed with private land. So a lot of the ranchers and farmers we worked with just didn't solely have private land. So that's how we operate. In more recent times, we've been partnering with other federal agencies to use this money, which is your money, taxpayer money, to fund conservation practices and projects. So there is some fine line there where you can't use federal dollars to help another federal agency, right? It's like robbing Peter to pay Paul. All of our federal agencies have their own budgets, so we got to be careful of how we implement and apply these programs, but that's kind of the gist of it. So we work on all land uses. We work on rangelands. I'm state rangeland management specialist for Arizona. I cover all of Arizona. We also work on cropland. We also work on pasture land. We work on forest land. And we work now within the last 5 years or so, we work on urban and rural land, the small rural landowners that are 5 acres, 10 acres or less. Because we've seen the need, as you've all listened and heard today, of these backyard conservationists or these programs that really didn't fit in the true sense of agriculture. But nonetheless, they are agriculture. They're not producing agricultural products to sell to market, although some do. Some of it is just for sustenance. And some of it is for small farmer market type stuff like that, but it's not the main profit or income for their reason for doing it. So that's what the Natural Resources Conservation Service does from an organizational standpoint. As far as agroforestry, as has been mentioned here today, this morning, Ralph did mention it, all of our timberlands are up in higher elevations, right? Who owns most of those timberlands? Forest Service, right? BLM a little bit, a lot of tribal lands, primarily White Mountain, White River Apache, and then San Carlos Apache. So we didn't have a big presence there. But now that we can use some of our federal dollars to help the people who manage, like the rancher or a farmer on those forest lands, or pastoralists, if they have sheep or goats on forest lands, that's how we can use. And we provide funding to them, not directly to the Forest Service, to maybe implement some practices that Forest Service may not have enough funding to do or the staff to do. So that's how we could augment or supplement on what Forest Service is doing, and so is BLM. As it applies to on the ground, what we will do is, I should back up and say that NRCS and Soil Conservation Service is the lead agency for mapping and describing and interpreting all the soils across the nation. How many of you are familiar with the soil survey? Right. That's what our people do. We have soil survey offices and soil scientists that go out there and map everywhere on private, state, and trust lands. Along with that soil survey, we have people like me, positions like mine, that go around and describe the plant communities that exist currently out there and that potentially could exist out there. And the potential, the climax plant community for all you plant nerds out there and plant ecologists, we like to define that as pre-European settlement. So what that plant community, what that soil would have looked like prior to European settlement. So roughly 500-600 years ago. And luckily in Southwest, we haven't been here long enough to screw things up too much in the Southwest. And we have sites across the Southwest that have been relatively uninfluenced by man. And I'm not talking about grazing or putting houses or buildings, but like Smokey the Bear, not influencing or altering the natural disturbance regime. So natural wildfire frequency, bug infestations, all of that. And I'm sure Allison will talk more about that maybe. So we'll go out there, we look at the soils, we look at the current state with the landowner or our client, and we look at if there are any resource issues, if there's soil erosion, soil health degradation. Kelly asked about, I think somebody asked earlier about soil health. We have an evaluation that almost anybody can fill out. It's very subjective, but to get you on the right path of, is your soil healthy or not? Some things to look at and consider. We'll look at all of that stuff. We look at soils, we look at water, we look at animals, wildlife, as well as domestic animals, plants, air, and energy. And we call that SWAPA because we're a good government agency and like acronyms. And we look at all the resources under those categories and make a determination if there's an issue and if we can help with it. We provide a conservation plan to our clients with suites or alternatives of practices to address those resource concerns. And NRCS, obviously I'm biased. I've worked for NRCS for 29 years, never worked for anywhere else. We're not a regulatory agency, and we're kind of like a consultant that's paid for by tax dollars. So we present this portfolio to a landowner, or there's the backyard conservationist, urban landscape, and we say, here, you can do option A, option B, option C, or any combination, and it's their decision. They can run off with that plan, do it themselves. Or I can say, hey, if you're a little bit tentative, this is the best option, but I know it's a big risk and a big commitment from you. We could potentially provide funding in a contract. It's not 100% that we'll pay, but we'll pay up to 90% in some cases. And then the other 10%, the landowner can go find other sources to make up the difference. So that's what we do in a nutshell. And I know I talk fast, but 3 minutes over my time. So I'll wait for questions, but thank you.
Thank you so much, Emilio. I don't mean to be shorthanding anybody, but Emilio's got some resources, NRCS resources back there. Find out who your district conservationist is and take advantage of this great resource we have.